What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? This is go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I hope you like this video. This is Real Housewives of Atlanta season 11 episode 18. Now let me say this to you guys. I did this video last night and then something happened when I was trying to upload it and it said that the file was corrupted. And I'll be honest, I was like, I don't feel like doing it again tonight. Like I did Married to Medicine LA, and I was like, I'll just do it tonight when I get home, and that's what I'm doing. So, but I'm almost glad I did, because last night, my review, I'm probably going to say some things tonight that I wouldn't have said last night. I don't know if I was just tired or I just didn't want to say it. A part of me doesn't want to take away from somebody's experience, because I can't walk a mile in somebody else's shoes. However, as a reviewer, it's here for me. What I do is give my opinion on what I see. And I'm going to be honest with you, I would have been a lot nicer to Nene last night. No, my review was a lot nicer to Nene last night than it's going to be tonight, because I've had time to sort of think and marinate on some things. And I feel like Nene did everything in her power to make this whole moment about her. Sometimes, and I get it, it's a TV show. So, with all that being said, but sometimes it's okay to put, it's okay to put your shit to the side to allow somebody else to shine. And I feel like a lot of what happened on last night's episode, and I feel like it was editing too, so I'm gonna throw some shit at Bravo too, because I feel like the way it was edited was a little, shady too. I don't know. I just feel like they took a lot away from Eva. Now, we'll say this. Eva absolutely had a beautiful wedding. And it was a beautiful moment. But I just feel like some of the editing was a little biased. But let's get into it. Let's get into it. So, last night's episode, it starts off with Shamari going to visit Nene down at the Swag Boutique. And they get a chance to talk. They get a chance to talk. They get a chance to, they talk about the kids and how the twins doing and how's Greg doing and all that good stuff. And Shamari apologizes to Nene. She said, I hope I didn't ruin the party. Nene was like, honey, no. That was the least, you throwing up in my bathroom was the least of my concerns. But she did apologize and bought her, a bottle of wine to, replace the bottle she left on the bathroom floor. And they proceeded to really yeah, every time I turn this camera on, I start yawning. I promise y'all, I've been sitting here fine for 3 hours doing work for my real job. Anyway, but they went on to say, they were able to laugh it off or whatever and whatever. And Nene said, hey, if you don't mind me being the third wheel, is it okay if I ride with you and Ronnie to the wedding, because Greg, he's just not really up for it. And Shamari was like, well, hell, I would love to, but Ronnie on the road, let's just ride together. And so that was cool. So they went on about their business. And then we just sort of fast forward to Eva's wedding. Eva, because she rented a whole house, honey, that's like Wedding Central, like all the women, and the bridal party minus the men. The men were, I'm sure, somewhere else doing what the men were doing. But she rented a whole house, just for the purposes of, having everybody together. So all the makeup artists, they were getting their toes done, their nails done. They was getting facials. They were getting, and Terry Mullins, celebrity makeup artist extraordinaire, who was also Eva's cousin and best friend, who he actually was her man of honor. Of course, he did all her makeup, so he was there, honey. And, it was great, you know what I mean? It was great to just see that, I've been in a few weddings, and, that moment that you spend with your girl before she walks down the aisle and before, her life changes forever is always great times, and I've done it at people's houses, I've done it at hotel rooms, you know, so it's always a great moment. We saw Miss Marley getting her toes done, honey, and there was a great moment where we saw with Eva and her mom, and Eva had gotten her mom a personalized handkerchief that talks about, I'm your daughter, and going from being your daughter to being a bride. It was really nice. I don't remember the exact engraving, but it was beautiful. And of course, it was a teary moment. It was also a really special moment where we saw with Eva and her dad. Her dad had a stroke a few years back, and he suffers from a condition called aphasia. And I have experienced that in my family. I hope I said that right. Anyway, I've experienced that in my family. Actually, a friend of mine who is in my age group, he had a stroke and he suffers with it. And I've had family members, my grandmother, my uncle, both suffer with it. And so I'm familiar with that. And it is, so it was great to see Eva. They showed a moment of Eva talking to her dad and everything. And so it was great. So now the rest of the episode is the wedding. Okay, the only scene that was before the wedding was that little scene with Shamari and Nene. So Shamari calls Nene the day of the wedding and says, I guess, what time you going to be ready to go? And Nene was like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to make it because, I'm just not really here for it. Me and Greg been getting into it, and I just don't know if I'm here for it. Now, mind you, remember Nene's supposed to be doing this toast at the wedding, right? So Shamari was like, oh, okay, well, let me know. All right, bye-bye. And she calls Tanya, honey. Now, what's interesting to note, and it'll become important later, is Miss Tanya and Shamari, honey, they got the cocktails going in the car on the way to the wedding, which ain't a problem. I've had a couple of drinks myself on the way to a wedding, because a couple of weddings I wish I wasn't going to. You understand what I'm saying? And I took a couple of drinks at the divorce too. Okay. But it'll come later about them already starting to have a little drink on before they even get to the venue. Now, then we see Candy, Todd, Cynthia, and Michael all riding together. And they end up having a conversation. They talk about this closet again, y'all. I'm as over this closet as I am over that dog on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. But, okay. So, they get to talking or whatever. And basically, Cynthia is doing what she does. She's defending Nene. Now, whatever's going on between them right now is right now. But in that moment, she was still Nene's ride or die. And she was still defending Nene. And, Candy was like, no, I'm cool. I get it. Like, and Candy's thing is, I get why she was angry. I think maybe she overreacted a little bit, but I get why she was mad. I went in her closet. I was wrong. But she said, my problem, though, was I heard, through Portia, that she called back up to the house a little bit later on to talk, to talk to some other people who were there or whatever. And her Nene in the background still cussing and fussing and calling us all kinds of bitches. And it's going to be this and it's going to be that. When I see them, it's going to be whatever, on site type of thing. And that's where the Candy was kind of like, okay, like, whoa, like, is it that serious? And again, like I said, Cynthia was still doing her, well, Nene's going through a lot, blah, blah, blah. Candy was just like, yeah, all right. I just hope it ain't going to be no problem when we see each other today. That's all I'm saying. So we get to the venue. It's beautiful. Like, here's the thing. However people choose to spend their money is how people choose to spend their money. But when you do choose to spend your money and it's money well worth being spent, I don't know if that came out right, but y'all know what I'm saying, then you can't be mad. You know what I mean? It'd be one thing if she spent that kind of money and people looked around and was like, what she spent all this money for? This place is not that, and this not this, and this not that. Because people will talk. But to see that it was a beautiful venue, and everybody was dressed beautifully and dressed appropriately, because I've been to a couple of weddings where the dress code said to do one thing and people did others, but that's another conversation for another day. And everything was gorgeous. It was a fairy tale. I mean, it was just beautiful. And even all the housewives looked beautiful. And Nene did show up, as we knew she would. But Nene showed up, right? And so, The wedding party comes down the aisle, which is beautiful. Somebody's carrying Mikey, you know, their youngest son. And Miss Marley is the flower girl, and she's just as cute as she can be, honey. And then we see Miss Eva. And that Michael started crying. I want to say he started crying from when he saw Marley, but I know he started crying when he saw Eva. And Eva's dad started crying. I mean, he was boo-hooing. And Eva looked beautiful. I mean, she looked gorgeous. She was gorgeous. And it was a beautiful ceremony with them exchanging their vows. He called God a her. Honey, that was beautiful. And they keep cutting over to Nene. And Nene is crying. And Nene's upset. And Marlo is rubbing her back. And it's okay. And they're flashing back to Nene and Greg getting married. Nene said, you know, it's really hard for me to sit here when, you know, and remember when I took these vows with my husband and, you know, and what he's going through, what we're going through now. It's just really hard to sit here through that. Let me tell y'all something. People who are going through their own marital situations sit through weddings all the goddamn time. And again, Nene clearly had said this in her confessional, and that's where Bravo was splicing in this old footage of her and Greg. But I just feel like it just wasn't needed. I get it. We get it. We get it, Bravo, that Nene and Greg are not in a good place. We get it. But did y'all have to take away Eva's moment to tell us again? And as soon as the vows were read, Nene gets up and runs out. So, of course, everybody's chasing after Nene. Is she okay? Is Nene okay? Is she okay? Is she okay? Nene, you okay? Nene, you all right? Nene, let's find a bathroom. Nene, even to the point where Candy wanted to go after her, but Candy said, well, no, I don't want to aggravate her, so I'm going to give her a minute. It's just like, damn, you know what I mean? Anyway, see, I wasn't this mean about it last night. I probably should have. So, after the ceremony, while we're, you know, that time before the sit-down dinner, the little cocktail hour, where Eva goes up to change into her second gown, and she talks to the girls for a moment. She runs into Candy and Portia, and they talk for a minute, and, you know, everything. And then we see Shamari throwing it back, honey. Keep an eye on Miss Shamari. Shamari's throwing it back. Nene is having a conversation. Shamari comes to talk to her, and they speak. You know, they had a little conversation, and that's when she talks about, no, that was when they spoke earlier, when she brought up the tweet that Nene put out about sick people being mean. But they talked, and Nene is talking to Marlo and them, and just talking about how her and Greg just really been getting into it, and her and Cynthia get to talking, and she tells Cynthia, hey, before we came here today, me and Greg were talking about separating, and Cynthia said, well, wait a minute. I mean, I know y'all are already in separate rooms, but y'all talking about separate houses? And Nene was like, yes, honey. Now, today, Nene on her Twitter talking about something, they said we separated. Nah, bitch, that's what you said. They ain't said, you said it. But Cynthia, and the thing is, it wasn't a big revelation for Cynthia to be like, well, y'all are in separate rooms. A lot of times when somebody is sick, if they can, you know, everybody don't have the option, but if they can, a lot of times when somebody is sick, you see them in a separate bedroom for different reasons. They have different sleep patterns. They might toss and turn. They may be uncomfortable with the bed being a certain way. They may have to have a certain type of mattress or whatever. And so with Greg going through everything that he's going through, it's not. Oh, no, that was at the wedding that the tweet came up. But anyway, but it's just not that uncommon if you can. I mean, if you live in a one-bedroom apartment, it ain't always something you can. But when you live in a mansion that I'm sure has 4 or 5 bedrooms, it's something that's reasonable for them to do. And again, it doesn't necessarily mean a bad thing in that situation. But here we now know, we do now know and see that it is a situation. So Shamari does talk to Nene, and you know, and and she gets Nene a little upset again, but she doesn't mean to. She said, "I'm sorry, Nene. I'm not trying to get you upset, you know." And she get the dancing and everything, and Marlo was like, "Honey, stop drinking and go sit down." And that is probably where Shamari should have stopped. So Kandi and Portia get to talking, and they basically get to comparing notes and find out that, you know, Marlo went back to Nene and relayed the conversation they had last week at lunch. But in their minds, they feel like that Marlo didn't really relay it in the same spirit in which it was being said. Y'all know, like I know, that you can relay something a certain kind of way and it come off totally different than the way somebody repeats it. It's totally different than the intent that you sent it in. And they feel like that's kind of what Marlo did. She was carrying them bones back, but instead of saying, like when Kandi said that, you know, Nene was really aggressive, I'm sure that the way Marlo portrayed it to Nene was different, because that's how Nene took it. Nene took it as, well, y'all trying to say I was aggressive and I was this and I was that. So Marlo says, well, no, let me go get Nene. Again, not the time or the place for this conversation. Y'all had, I don't know when the bi-wig party was, but I know y'all had time before this wedding to have this conversation. But okay, whatever. Y'all had time, so we got time. They sit down, the four of them with Cynthia. The four of them sat down. Cynthia was with them too, so the five of them sat down to have this conversation. And I agree with what Nene is saying. Nene was like, look, I told y'all not to go in my closet. And when y'all went in anyway, I didn't trip. Where I tripped was when when the camera crew decided to go in there. And then he said, look, I went through a situation last year that was very embarrassing for me, where somebody basically tried to insinuate that my house had roaches. We all know that was Kim Zolciak and her daughter. She said, so the last thing, she said, my closet was not clean. And what I did not want was for my closet to be filmed and be out there for people to scrutinize and say whatever they wanted to say about whatever was going on in my closet. She said, so for y'all to go in there after I told y'all no was already disrespectful. She said, and I've seen y'all be disrespectful to other people's homes. She said, but then when the camera crew decided to go in there, yeah, no, I went off. I did. And again, I see where Nene is coming from. I still think, and she didn't mean to rip that man's shirt off. She just don't know her own strip shit. It wasn't like the Hulk. Like, she just was pulling him and his shirt ripped. I mean, she really wasn't trying to do all of that. But she said she told the camera crew that they couldn't go in her closet before they even started filming. She said, I let them know what was and what wasn't, you know, what was off limits and what they could film. She said, and I told them they couldn't film in my closet. So again, I put some of that on the camera crew. Again, I'm not saying it was okay for her to get physical, but I'm saying I put some of that on the camera crew, that she told y'all not to go in there. And just because Portia and Kandi went in there didn't mean that the rules changed. If she said no, she said no. Neither here nor there. So Portia was trying to basically tell, you know, Nene that she overreacted, this, that, and the other. Nene was like, look, I don't understand how you want to tell somebody how to act in their own house. And I was like, well, she got a point. So then Portia, because Kandi was very conciliatory from the beginning. Kandi was like, look, I was wrong and I'm sorry. Like, I get it. I get it. You know, I think Kandi just wanted to more so clear up what Marlo said and make sure that her and Nene were good. You know what I'm saying? Like, you were right, I was wrong, but let me just make sure we good. Because you know how Nene can bring some shit back that happened 2 months ago. So I think that was mainly where Kandi was coming from. Like, I just want to make sure we all good. Like, everything is everything. But Portia was still kind of holding on to this whole, Nene, you overreacted. And Nene was like, look, I done stood with you. I done had your back when you was out here in these streets wilding out. So don't even go there. And I was like, well, she got a point. Because you was out here, you know, strangling hoes and chasing hoes down the street. And she had your back. She did. So. And you know, shady-ass Bravo flashed back to the footage of Nene telling her, don't do it on camera. That's basically what Nene said. Nene ain't say don't do it. Nene said don't get caught doing it. I don't think that was bad advice. But when it was all over, said and done with, Nene started crying, and then they all hugged up on her, and everybody, all of us forgiven. All was forgiven. Now, and again, I feel like that was, anyway. So the men are having a conversation, and Mike says, hey, he's ready to make Cynthia his one and only. He said, look, I done this twice before, and I said the next time I do it, it's going to be the last one I do it with, and I feel like Cynthia is that one. And so they were like, well, when you going to pop the question? And then he didn't have a whole lot to say. But it's nice to know that Cynthia ain't alone, because, you know, if you see Cynthia's side of this, Cynthia is all in. She is all in, honey, chips on the table, in love, okay? And you just don't want to ever see somebody, it be one-sided. So it's nice to see that Mike feels the same way about Cynthia. And maybe next season we'll get another wedding, honey, okay? So they going back to the party. They ready to go back to the reception. And that damn drunk-ass Shamari is 2 sheets to the wind drunk. She trying to talk to Nene. Nene, I just want you to know I'm here for you. Nene, 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 I'm here for you. Nene, Nene, girl. And they were like, if you don't calm your drunk ass down. See, that shit's not cute. It's not cute. If you are a 30-something-year-old woman who's been drinking probably even before you were legal, and you don't know how to control your own liquor, it's not cute. If you don't have that internal clock in your body, my body lets me know when I'm done. And now it doesn't matter. It could be 1 drink, it could be 5 drinks, but there's something that my body does that lets me know, okay, I'm done for the night. Get some water. You know what I'm saying? You don't know when to stop. And if you don't know when to stop, then you need not drink no more. Period. And it's not cute. And Shamari is drunk. Moms come over to the table. And Shamari started talking about something. That's Eva's mom. She's so beautiful. She gave birth to Eva from her vagina. And the whole table is looking at her like, what? See, that's why Ronnie has need to be with you. See, people start talking about Ronnie controlling. No, Ronnie just know his crazy ass wife. See, last week y'all had me second guessing. Y'all had me second guessing my boy Ronnie. But no, Ronnie just know he got a crazy ass wife. So anyway, Nene has to give because then Nene started talking about some she was going to leave before she gave her toast. But she ended up giving the toast. And it was like, I mean, it wasn't one of the best toasts I've ever heard, but it wasn't horrible. You know what I mean? It was like, you know? And that's kind of where the episode ended. It was, like I said, I gave it to Nene a little bit more because last night's review was only, I don't even think last night's review was 12 minutes long because I kept a lot. I was like, I wasn't going to say a whole lot because I'm trying to be respectful of the fact that Nene is a caretaker. And that is a lot on somebody. That is a lot to be a caretaker for somebody. But I just think she milking it. And if y'all think I'm wrong, put it in the comments. Let me know. But I think she milking this shit. Anyway, y'all let me know what y'all think. Drop it in the comments. Peace.